Learn Excel from Mr. Excel Podcast, episode 2224, Magnifier in Excel. Hey, welcome back to the Mr. Excel Netcast. I'm Bill Jelen. Well, this isn't actually just an Excel trick. It works in all of Windows, but I've been using it in Excel a lot. I have been doing these presentations, and when you're doing a presentation, if the big room, screen's too small, people can't see what you're doing. So you can always hold down Control and roll the wheel mouse away from you to make things larger. But that doesn't help at all with dialog boxes. So if I'm talking about the text to columns wizard, Control and wheel away doesn't make it any larger. So I started using this thing in Windows called the Magnifier, and I hold on the Windows key, the flying Windows key, and press the plus sign, so Windows plus, and it makes the whole screen larger so that way people can see it in the background. Now this is not the version that I'm using. There are 3 different views here, and this is called full screen, which appears to be the original version. And then the other one is docked. And with docked, what happens is as you move your mouse around, you see that panel at the top? That panel at the top is showing a larger version of whatever my mouse is around. And it seems to show the whole row, essentially, which I guess is cool. If you had a lot of data, that would be a good one. But instead, I'm going to use lens. All right, so lens gives me this great little thing that follows my mouse around and shows me right there what it looks like. So I can talk about delimited and then click next, and then choose comma, unchoose tab, and then click next, and then people can see whatever I'm talking about. Now, this lens is actually a lot bigger than the lens that I'm using on my laptop. So I'll come up here and click this magnifier and the options. All right, now this is Windows 7, again, as I mentioned the other day. And Windows 7 is nice because it takes me right into magnifier lens size. But in Windows 10, it's taking me into the control panel, a version of this. So I want to make the lens a little bit shorter and a little bit narrower, kind of like that. So that way I can, just highlight whatever I want to highlight. Then with this size lens, it's easy for me to, actually focus on, whatever I'm pointing at, right? So we talk about delimited, and then click next, and then here choose comma and unchoose tab, and show what the preview looks like, and then click next, and then leave it as general, and click finish, and people can see what's going on. Although I have to tell you, it's a little bit unnerving sometimes because if I'm actively trying to use Excel with this, there's pieces of the screen that I can't see. Like for example, this screen lets you select each column. There's a point at which I can't see that anymore because the lens is covering up the unmagnified version and it's not in the magnified version. So I need a way to get out of this quickly, and that's the flying Windows key, and escape will get me out. Like that. But overall, the magnifier is a cool trick, and I've been using it now for about 3 weeks in my seminars, and almost every time I use it, people are like, "Oh, that's cool. How do you do that?" Right? Hey, any Excel questions? All right, any questions on this? Yeah, how do you get that magnifier up here? So flying Windows key and the plus sign, then you can customize a little bit, flying Windows key and escape to make it go away. Well, you check out my new book, Mr. Excel Live, the 54 greatest Excel tips of all time. Click that eye in the top right-hand corner for more information. Wrap up for today's episode. If you need to make the grid larger because you're doing a presentation, Control wheel mouse will increase the size of the grid, but it doesn't increase the size of the dialog boxes or the ribbon. When I'm presenting in a big room with a screen that's too small, the magnifier, the Windows magnifier, helps. Press the Windows key and the plus sign. There are 3 different versions: full screen, docked, or lens. I prefer lens, and I change the size of the lens. And then the important thing is to turn it off, the Windows key, and escape. To download the workbook from today's video, visit the URL in the YouTube description. I want to thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next time for another netcast from Mr. Excel.